Good morning. I'm Cameron Porter, owner of Robin Hood Studios, and this is Venture Utah. We've got some phenomenal guests coming on today, but before we get to that, I wanted to share some news stories with you. And first, school districts in Utah are trying to figure out how they are going to open for the fall school year. Few people are happy with the decisions that have been made so far, as for example, Davis School District has opted for a hybrid solution that has children in school 2 days per week and online the other 3 days, with half the students coming in Monday and Wednesday and the other half coming in Tuesday and Thursday. My personal opinion of this plan is that it is pure nonsense. It's like they intentionally tried to find the worst possible middle ground that kept all of the disadvantages of both in-person school and online school without keeping any of the advantages. Poorer families who can't afford multiple computers or where both parents work full-time are still going to have to try to figure out how to keep their kids productive and educated for 3 out of the 5 weekdays. Teachers are still being exposed to every single student throughout the week, and since teachers are far more likely to get sick from COVID than the students are, that seems pretty ridiculous to me. Students are being divided by last name, so the first half of the alphabet will always attend school on different days than the second half of the alphabet, which means students won't ever see half their friends. Teachers are doing double the amount of work, and students are getting half the education. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this. Would it not have made more sense to simply make accommodations for vulnerable teachers? To have a younger proctor physically in the classroom with the students and have the teacher Zoom or Skype in to teach? Honestly though, I recognize that I'm probably in the minority here and that most parents are terrified of their kids getting COVID. And this plan is most likely a result of that fear. The truth is there is no such thing as a perfect solution, and a plan that made me happy would probably make a lot of other people just as angry as I am now. I do wish private school was a more viable option, but since school vouchers aren't a thing, my wife and I either have to pull $7,000 per year per child out of somewhere or settle for this pale imitation of an education. Thank you, Karens of Davis County. I know this whole rant is probably going to get me in trouble, but I don't even care anymore. I am pretty sick of getting jerked around at this point. Alrighty, our first guest this week is our good friend and partner, Joe Rangel with 2Evolve Coaching and Consulting. Joe, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So today, you're actually doing a presentation on this for a group of business owners tomorrow. It's about polarized black and white thinking. Is that correct?
Correct.
So kind of give us a quick highlight, quick rundown of what exactly that is.
Well, there's a lot of it going on in the country right now, over various different topics, but it happens to all of us pretty much on a daily basis. When we get stuck on an opinion or an ideology, we tend to get polarized on one side or the other. And if somebody happens to be polarized on the other side, what happens then? Usually we get into disagreements or we get frustrated. We can even get polarized about driving. I don't know if you've ever gotten behind a bad driver. In your opinion, a bad driver. Or I got around a couple of them today on the way here. And we can get frustrated with people that we'll never meet, all because we think we have the right way of doing something and they're doing it the wrong way. And then it can just expound from there.
It's true, that can get really frustrating, and I think, and I know this is a bit of a cliche to say, but I think the modern age communication, the internet actually exacerbates this problem significantly, because typically, disagreements when you're face to face, rarely do conflicts escalate into obscenities and,
correct,
and fist fights and things that really escalate that way. But that's the default for a comment section on a YouTube video,
Right.
Is that so?
I was talking to a client of mine this morning, and she had said that her and her son got into a disagreement over a couple of things, pretty heavy disagreement. And she was talking about, and again, it doesn't matter what side you're on this in this equation, but she's conservative, he's liberal, and they got into this big battle over, who's right, who's wrong, and they were talking about public demonstrations. And she was saying, hey, if somebody publicly demonstrated and blocked traffic, I might want to push through them. I don't know if I would feel safe. So he takes that to an extreme. You mean you would plow over people and kill people? And she's like, oh my gosh, that's not what I said. I just meant I would feel a little uncomfortable. And one of the things that I talked to her about was, look, we can ask questions that help people come to different solutions and different conclusions if we'll take the time to step back from emotion. So when we get polarized, we get emotional, we get stuck. A lot of the polarization in our lives, most people's lives, if you just live a normal, regular life and you're not really angsty, can happen at home with kids, with your spouse or your significant other. And we can get into disagreements over the silliest of things. And it's really always over an opinion. So we went on to talk a little bit, and I asked her what she said, and she said, I told him this, and I said, well, did he listen very well? No, he was very angry and was raising his voice. And I said, well, what if you were to step back and ask a couple of questions? Like, so what is the definition of a peaceful protest? How is that defined? And, you know, she goes, well, he was talking about how we were supposed to infringe on other people's rights to get an opinion. And I said, but that would be antithetical to what he says he's fighting for, which is for people to have equal rights. And if we're infringing on somebody else's, you know, rights, are we not taking that away from them? And she goes, I never even thought about asking that. I was just too angry. So that's what will happen. We'll get too angry, too aggravated, driving, fists up in the air, or maybe something else that's inappropriate for this lovely show. But we can get really angry at people for silly things, you know. If we get angry at somebody for cutting us off in traffic, have we ever cut anybody off in traffic? I know I have inadvertently. It's not on purpose, but I've done it before. Usually when we're in a hurry and we're not paying attention. But look at how things can escalate. You know, people hurting people all over opinions and ideologies, and actually doing things that are totally in opposition of what they say they're quote unquote fighting for. That's polarized, you know, and it can happen to anybody every day. If you look at big picture scenarios, you can look at the world wars that have taken place. You could look at the Middle East. You could look at the Gaza Strip. And tons of people have been killed. It's considered like one of the bloodiest strips in the world over opinions and ideologies. Or Jerusalem has changed hands, you know, many, many times, usually with a bloody battle that ensued to take control over it. Or you look at Nazi Germany and how many people were killed over one person's ideology. It actually started with one person's ideology, and over 6 million people were killed in a very short period of time. So that's how things can escalate, from a disagreement to a spouse or an aggravation with a child to, I heard the other day that somebody in a wholesale club store, I don't know which one it was actually, but some guy was wearing a mask, and he was an older guy, and he accosted a kid that wasn't wearing a mask, and he started giving the kid a hard time, and the kid stabbed him.
Oh, that I did not see that going there. Okay.
That's pretty polarized.
Yes, it is.
Because he was mad at the old man for telling him to put a mask on. So then he took off out of the store and ran, and then the cops chased him down, and then he got out of his car with knives, and they killed him. Is that worth dying over? A mask, wearing a mask? And you and I know my opinions about masks.
Sure.
But I don't like them. It's not worth dying over, though. It's not worth hurting somebody over for. It's an opinion or an ideology. There's no factual information about what's good or what's not. There's spins put on things all the time. So it's very difficult to find factual information to actually build a case on.
I think I'm seeing that. I'm thinking about this just because of, you know, where I'm at in my life and what I typically pay attention to anyways. I'm kind of pulling this over into, again, how has this escalated? How has this gotten so bad? And I'm seeing this terrible downward spiral of perverse incentives where media organizations, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, media organizations capitalize on your rage.
Correct.
They get you to click, and they make money when you click out of rage or out of anger, and that's what compels people to click, is they see something that's incendiary. They see something that strikes an emotional chord with them. I mean, when was the last time you clicked on something that just listed out a couple of dry, meaningless statistics?
Right.
Like, never. You click on something, I mean, maybe it is statistics, but it's statistics about something that you care very deeply about. And so there's this perverse incentive where we make more money the more these people are enraged, and the more we click and read, the more enraged we get.
Correct.
And it does really pull people away. And I think there's a lot of, additionally, we're exposed to so many more people, to so many more opinions than we were 30, 40 years ago because of the internet, because of all these people that we're interacting with that we would never have encountered. And we don't know anything about them except what they feel comfortable saying behind a keyboard anonymously. That's it.
And instantly.
And instantly.
You know, used to, you might get a letter in the mail that pissed you off, and you go read it, and you go, what do I think about that? Or what am I going to do about that? Or you'd read the newspaper or see something on TV, and it was an instantaneous response. And a lot of times that instantaneous response creates a lack of logic. It's emotional. We'll jump into something before we really think about it. That's why, and I talked to you about this before, I have opinions and ideologies. I don't post them publicly on my page because that could polarize half of my audience. Now, will I have conversations with them? I'm happy to discuss anything with anybody and not get in a fight or a disagreement with them. I mean, I've had people that I've talked to that I've had a difference of opinion on, and we're not friends, you know. I don't want to go beat them up or destroy their establishment.
Sure, of course.
That's, you know, lucid people, when we can step back, we all have the ability to be more calm, more peaceful. And I think we need that in the world right now. Really, our country needs that, to where we can have moderated conversations. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, but Mr. Rogers is one of my idols, you know, because he had a way with dealing with emotion. He moderated his emotion. It doesn't mean he never got angry or he never got upset, but he didn't believe in hurting other people because of his feeling or his emotion. And I think if we could all learn to do that, we could have peaceful conversations about anything and still not have to have the same opinion. It's very sad.
And it's something that I think, so as far as preventing that polarization, that black and white thinking, how would you suggest that people train themselves to avoid it?
I would say learn to take that pause that you used to get. So before things became instantaneous, learn to take a step back. Give yourself a moment to think. Process through things. Ask yourself if-then scenarios. If I behave this way, what might happen? If I feel this way, what might happen? Walk yourself through different things. And I think the key to all this is to learn to be analytical. You know, by nature, we choose to be analytical. That word means we have to look at all sides of an equation, not just our side. If we could start to do that, then we could step back and learn other people's perspective, which, again, it doesn't have to mean that you change yours. It just gives you the ability to step back and gain further understanding and clarity of conversation.
I love that. That makes a lot of sense. And one thing that occurred to me was that another thing that has helped me, at least as I've worked to avoid polarized thinking, is avoid taking the next step. So someone says something about masks or whatever, and it's a tendency to take that one thing and say, oh, so you're saying that, and take a logical leap, take a leap that the person may or may not have taken. And so you're not really getting mad at what they said, you're getting mad at the implications that you see of what they said.
Or an assumption.
Or an assumption, you know, what you assume is their stance. I'm not a particularly pro-Trump person, and again, I don't want to polarize anybody, but I don't particularly like Trump. I did not vote for him. I don't really plan on voting for him again, or in 2020, but I defend him pretty frequently because of the slander and the libel that I see, the lie. I mean, there's plenty of legitimate things to criticize. Why do we need to lie about him? But then I get accused of being a Trump supporter, of you know, and they make all sorts of assumptions about me as a person based on what I'm saying that aren't actually true. And so, yeah, taking that logical leap, I feel like is important to avoid doing. Just take what they say at face value.
You said, maybe, I don't know, I think it was 2 months ago or so when we were talking about Black Lives Matter and people being accosted, and you said, I don't know why, but I know it's happening, and I'm educating myself. I'm wanting to read. I want to understand. And I would advise everybody else out there to do the same, to learn to understand what could be happening. I think through knowledge and that stepping back and non-assumption. See, like, we can imagine people are going through things without assuming. We could ask questions. We could ask for clarity. So just to be clear, did you mean this? I just want to make sure I understand you. Or you could say, I'm imagining that you might feel this way, and then maybe express that. But imagining is much different than assuming. It's a lot less impressive.
I love that. unfortunately, that's all the time we've got for today, but I think that was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, our next guest is Chris Whitaker with Zero Res, a carpet cleaning company here in the state of Utah. So, Chris, thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Cameron.
So first, before we get to the interesting stuff that I'm really looking forward to,
Uh-huh.
well, I'm looking forward to this too. Tell me about Zero Res. What makes Zero Res different?
So Zero Res, basically what we do is we use, it's called a powered water. So it's a high alkaline water that we actually make at our shop. It's a pH of about 11 to 13. And so it cleans a lot better and more efficient than any soap or solvent out there, and it doesn't leave a residue, hence the name Zero Res.
Okay, gotcha. So it's just water, no shampoos, no soaps, but it cleans the carpet.
Yep.
And is it just for carpet?
Nope. I mean, we've sanitized countertops. We use it obviously in our tile cleaning. We can pretty much, that's the water that we use, period. We don't hook up to any taps, anything that needs cleaning.
Wow, so do you run into a lot of skepticism about how effective the water could be?
Absolutely. A lot of people say it's snake oil.
Okay.
I say, it's not snake oil, it's just fairy wings. That's all. That's all it is.
I like that.
Yeah.
But you have brought some fairy wings for us to
Yes.
experiment on.
I have.
No actual fairies were harmed in the making of this episode.
Yeah, please.
So yeah, tell me what do we got going on here?
So what's going on is I brought normal tap water. Tap water is basically what everybody cleans with. It's got a pH basically of 7, with our alkaline water with 11 to 13 on the pH. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some iodine in there. We're going to stir it up and we're going to see which one dissolves.
Okay.
All right. That's yours.
Alrighty, I'll take this.
Screw
So
this here.
take this off.
Yep.
And I don't drink it.
Do not drink.
Do not drink.
Do not drink.
Wait, do I have the Zero Res water?
That is the normal tap water.
Oh, so I could drink it right now.
Yes. All right. So there's a drop.
Okay.
I'll drop it in here.
I put the cap back on, right?
Cap back on.
All right.
And kind of like the Willy Wonka, we're just going to stir it up.
Oh, okay.
We'll just kind of mix it.
Shake that thing. Wait, where'd yours go?
Mine's dissolved because of the high alkaline.
Oh.
So there you go.
So it gets rid of iodine.
Yep.
That's good.
So it breaks up all the oils, the soaps, surfactants that are in typical water that's in shampoo. With our alkaline water, we're breaking it up at a faster rate so that you don't have any residue in your carpet and it's better for you.
Gotcha. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense.
It's a magic trick.
So that's so when you say it's the pH is 11 or 13, does that make it an acid or a base?
It's a base.
It's a base. Okay, I'm really not familiar with
Either am
all
I.
that.
I just know what I'm told, and I just know.
I just know that you don't want to touch stuff the higher it is, like the less you want.
It neutralizes once it's down onto the carpet. It doesn't stay active. So yes, it is safe. It's child friendly. We're completely green.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And full disclosure, I have had my living room carpet cleaned by Zero Res, and it got dry really fast.
Yeah.
And it didn't smell like the lemon scent or anything like that.
Right.
But it didn't smell bad anymore.
Right.
It smelled clean.
Yeah.
And it smelled and this makes more sense because it's washing all the gunk away and it's not putting anything else in there.
Right.
So are there any limitations to this?
Besides curing COVID-19, I don't think so.
So close, so close. Okay, so I mean, pretty much anything that a shampoo or a soap might do, this can also do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's more that we're cleaning with chemistry more than chemically.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So a lot of people, they can put pH boosters into their water, but they're still adding that chemical. They're still trying to fight and rinse that chemical out of their carpet.
So without giving away any trade secrets, how do you get water to that pH level without adding chemicals?
So hard water, we have our soft water machine. Then we'll put it in an electrolysis machine that has platinum plates. Send electricity through those plates, and it separates those oxygen molecules into an A and a B side. A being pure acidic, B being pure alkaline. So we're discarding the acid water and just cleaning with pure alkaline water.
Do you find the oxygenical separational components of the platinum to be superior to aluminium?
You know, if I was Iron Man, I would probably come up with a smart remark, but I'm not.
I'm pretty sure
Iron
the question
Man.
I asked was nonsense.
But no, I've done my research. I've been with the company for almost a decade, and I've really noticed and seen the results. With your typical with your other carpet cleaners, they leave the carpet sticky and crunchy, and it's just with that funky after smell. With the bee water that we use, our powered water, it leaves it soft. It leaves it like actual carpet should feel. That dry time is because it's water. It's not fighting any of those soaps and shampoos to get that dry time faster.
And you can do zero res cleaning on not just floors. I mean, you can use this on furniture. You can do like other things. Is that right?
Yeah, we can do upholstery. We can do mattresses. Grandpa's old couch. We can do grandma's couch that's 50 years old.
And what is your role at Zero Res?
So my role is the commercial account manager. So I go out to commercial businesses and I, sell commercial carpet cleaning to them.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. So do you ever run the truck?
I have been on a truck. Actually yesterday I was on a truck. A technician called in sick, and had to get it up and get going. There's a reason I'm not on a truck anymore, because I'm at this age and weight in my life. But definitely, I don't mind getting on back on a truck.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, so why iodine?
Iodine, because it's a surgical. It stains. It basically, it sticks to whatever it's going to do.
Oh, okay.
That's the most. We can do it with oils and stuff like that, but this shows the most dramatic difference.
Sure.
And the biggest breakup.
Okay, that makes sense. So iodine is a notoriously difficult thing to clean.
Yeah, don't spill it on your couch, otherwise you can just throw your couch away.
Or call Zero Res.
Just throw your couch away. We're not going to do the iodine thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically all the things. So how long has Zero Res been around?
So Zero Res been basically around for about 15 years. We started out in Salt Lake.
Okay.
And now it's a national franchise. We've got franchises from Washington down to, Florida and everything in between.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Okay. And cost-wise, does it typically run pretty similar to other carpet cleaners, or?
Yeah, we say that we're pretty comparable. We may be a little bit higher than a chuck in a truck, because we obviously overhead and stuff like that, and we do bring our own water. We don't hook up to your tap or anything like that. But right now we're running specials from $33 a room, a typical 200 square foot room. Hallways about $20, and staircases are 14 stairs altogether, or 12 stairs and a landing, or $50.
Okay.
So
that's pretty reasonable.
yeah,
It's pretty workable.
we can do the showers. We can do your kitchen tile, everything.
Can I ask you, what are some of the weirdest things that you've cleaned?
The weirdest things that I've cleaned. Mattresses are pretty questionable. There was a story where we got an emergency phone call, and a little child had an accident. Didn't know where mom was, had the accident, and you could kind of follow the little, as I call them, poo prints around the house. That was kind of the most unique and adorable one, because how are you going to get mad at this little child trying to find his mom? But the weirdest things, I cleaned a carpeted bar, a carpeted wall.
Wait, whoa.
70s were a weird thing.
A carpeted bar?
Yeah, just the surrounding was all carpeted, and the guy wanted it all
like the walls
cleaned up. Yeah,
that is interesting.
yeah, it was very cool.
Was it the shag
Oh,
carpet?
absolutely. Orange.
The full on.
Yeah, orange.
All right,
shag.
that's legit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, cool. So the best way to get in touch with you for people who want to use your services or hire Zero Res, what's the best way to go about it?
Best way, you could email me at cwhitaker@zerores.com. You can call the office, or you can just reach out.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Cameron.
This was a great conversation.
All right, man.
Alrighty, and our last guests this week are Kirsten and Tiffany with The Relationship Recovery. Kirsten, Tiffany, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So I'm really excited for this conversation because I think what you guys are doing, and both what you're doing and how you've got there, are very unique. And so I think this is going to be an exciting conversation. First, do you want to tell me a little bit about what The Relationship Recovery is?
Sure. So what we do is we're kind of unique because there's two of us and we coach together. But really the premise of our business is to help people that have either had relationship trauma, have gone through a divorce or going through a divorce, are dealing with somebody that's really difficult, and maybe they've gotten out of divorce and they just need to find themselves again, and they need some help to do that. So we do that through several different avenues, and the reason we do that is because not everybody is financially in the same place. So we offer two-on-one coaching. Basically, that just means that Kirsten and I coach each session together, and then we do a group coaching scenario, and then we also have a 12-week course, and then of course we have our Instagram page.
Okay, so you provide coaching and assistance for people post-relationship.
Yes, typically it's post, and sometimes people are kind of in between. We get a lot of people that reach out to us before. We work, depending on where they are in the relationship, like we work a lot with like FADV, which is Fight Against Domestic Violence. We get a lot of people that are in abusive circumstances as well, or that deal with people that have personality disorders or codependency and things like that. So depending on where they are in their journey, then we'll assist them. But typically where we come in is, yes, post the relationship, because we're really trying to help them move forward. And we do that with our a three-tiered system.
And you work mostly with an individual person, so you're not so much marriage counselors as you are coaches for, one member of the relationship. Is that an accurate description?
Yes.
Correct, yes, yeah. And we work, like Kirsten said, really tightly with FIDV, and the reason we do that is because we want to make sure that when people come to us, if they're in a situation that could be very dangerous for them, that we're certified and we can help form a safety plan for them. So,
awesome.
Yeah, so we really work kind of in a big range of, different areas, but yes, typically just with one person.
So you may work hand in hand with law enforcement from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we could, we haven't, but we could.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay. Now, the way you got to where you are, your coaching business, I believe, is doing very well, and you're helping a lot of people. But it all started with an Instagram page, is that correct?
Yes, so we used Instagram primarily to build our quote-unquote following. That's where we started, and that's where pretty much our entire business has been organic from that. We literally, we've done some ads and things like that, and put some money into marketing, but it's been primarily all Instagram. And it's been a ride, and we kind of have a unique approach to Instagram. We're not just posting pictures of ourselves and things like that. We share quotes, and we just share quotes that have to do with relationships, typically. And a lot of good information, like from other people in the industry that share things around narcissistic abuse, or we will share things about codependency. So we're educating and sharing that information, and we built this organic following that continues to grow based off of that, and people save those and share those and love those, and it's really made it so we've grown. And then we also do live coaching sessions multiple times a week on there, and built our entire business based around that Instagram page.
Now that's really interesting. So your posting strategy, you do a lot of quotes, so like an image, I'm guessing, with the quote on top. And okay, and then you also do live coaching sessions on Instagram. Now how does that work? Do you just take questions from the chat, or?
So we usually have a topic, and then we do offer live Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll come up with the topic, outline it, discuss what we're gonna what we're going to talk about that day, and then we get on or we just put an announcement in the stories so people are aware of what time we'll be on, because sometimes we try and stick to the same time, but sometimes it doesn't work for our schedules, so we'll change that a little bit, but we'll hop on, and people just, they love it, and then we post it afterwards so that they can rewatch it.
Yeah, and we usually have a few, I mean, we get a good number live, but a lot of it comes later, and then it's shared again, because people are trying to get this information to their friends and family and like people that they know, because there's a lot of people that follow us for certain reasons, but then they relate because they know somebody and then they pass it on. So it just makes it an easy way for someone else to help someone too, because it's a difficult conversation when you're watching someone go through relationship trauma and you know what's going on and you want to help them, but you can't, they have to help themselves. They have to get to that point. And that's kind of where we come in too.
Interesting. So that's kind of therein is the power of a platform like Instagram.
Yes.
Now, for someone who's really familiar with Facebook, maybe they've never been on Instagram, they don't know what Instagram is, how would you explain to them what Instagram is?
I mean, Instagram's kind of like, I always look at it as Facebook's like, I don't know, younger, cooler child. I don't know. But it's a more simple, I feel like it's a pretty simple platform for the most part. I mean, they've definitely added to it and made it more complicated. My background's actually in social media marketing before we started doing this. But it's just a really simplistic way. A lot of Instagram really started as imagery though. That was kind of where it came from. So that's why our approach is a little different. In fact, there's also like this rumor out there that words actually don't work on Instagram for the images, and we have found that's not true because it's saved, and Instagram loves things being saved. So the more that something is shared and saved now means more to Instagram than likes and comments even, because if you're saving something and sharing it, then they're like, oh, they're really engaged in this, so this means we need to promote this. So you'll find that you'll do better in the algorithm because you're being saved and shared.
That's really fascinating. I think I see a real alignment between the platform, Instagram, your target audience, the people who are most likely going to be touched by what you're writing and be on the platform. I think there's an alignment there, and also the services that you're providing. I think it works really well. What are your plans for growth? Are you going to move to other social media platforms? Or are you going to keep your focus on Instagram?
I mean, we do use other social media platforms somewhat. Our plan's TikTok, if it's not banned. That's kind of where our next forward thought is, just because it seems like that's where the next traffic's going. We do utilize Facebook somewhat. We've done groups and things like that.
Yeah, and I think too, like really the important part for us on Instagram is we've found our target audience.
Yeah.
And we make sure that those posts are very intentional and they're put out each day, you know, as something that she and I have both gone through, so that we know we're going to touch those people. And so I think when we move to another platform or we, you know, add another platform, we just have to make sure we're finding our right audience.
Yeah, and consistency is key. And there's not a reason why we're not opposed to other platforms, but we want to show up consistently, and we have to, we're being realistic in our growth. We're not overwhelming ourselves. We've found something that does well for us, and we're going with it. And then as we grow as a company and we can add more hands on deck, then, you know, obviously we want to look at other versions too. And we have, but this is what we can handle right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. Shifting gears real quick, I want to go back to a little bit more about learning about what you do. So my most upfront question is, do you work with men?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Majority are women that come to us, but we have some really great men that are in our group that participate and that have been through, you know, some really tough things. And I think that sometimes they get a little bit, they're just nervous to contact us because they can see that our audience is mostly women. But the ones that have reached out are fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
And so you do the online, or I'm sorry, the like the Zoom call style. You also do the group. And then is there an in-person, one-on-one?
We don't do in person right now, just because most of our clients are actually out of the state.
Okay.
We do have some that are here in the state as well, but also just the time we live in, and it makes it really easy for us to go client to client, and we actually offer all of our clients a cool portal, so they get every session's recorded for them. and then they get all of their notes in one place plus bonuses, and they can access that at any time. So if there's something they remembered we said, they can go and listen and redo that. Because sometimes, like, when you're in that setting, you're so emotional that you miss things, and you're like, oh, I know that I felt that, I want to go back to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's also the online platform that gives them a lot of tools to help recover.
Yeah.
And again, the relationship recovery, the implication is that this is not necessarily for the normal type of struggles that a relationship is going to undergo. This is for the extreme cases.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say the aftermath.
I would.
I mean, we do see people that essentially, in my opinion, and you can share yours, of course, too, but I think if any divorce, if you end up in a relationship, or even not even a divorce, maybe a heartbreak of any sort, or a relationship ends, or even with a family member that's left you with detrimental, pieces left out, like something's happened and you're holding on to that trauma, then that's where we would serve.
Right, and the other thing too that we kind of get hands on deck with is co-parenting. It's not really our focus, but we get a lot of people that are just struggling to be able to co-parent with somebody that's toxic, because that's not usually possible. So we teach them how to parallel, parent, or we'll bring somebody else in that's a little bit more skilled in that area, and we can have them help too. So we get a little bit of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Unfortunately, we're kind of out of time for the segment, but I wanted to make sure that for people who want to get in touch with you, is the best way to reach out on your Instagram?
Either Instagram, and we're at therelationshiprecovery.com, or you can reach us at therelationshiprecovery.com.
Okay. Well, perfect. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and that is it for this week's episode of Venture Utah. We will catch you next week, same time, Friday at 10 a.m.